This is the Private Officer Beat Radio with Rick McCann at the microphone. Hey everyone, welcome to Private Officer International's radio show, the Private Officer Beat, a production of Blue Ram Media Group LLC and Private Officer International. Of course, POI is a international law enforcement and private security organization, and we've had this radio show for close to 20 years, and the association just as long. We're glad that you're joining us from wherever that might be. Many of you do listen live, others stream it at various times of the day. We are on more than 36 platforms, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We often get comments from not only here in the U.S., but from other countries as well. So once again, thank you everyone for joining the radio program. We did take the week off during last week. We thought it only appropriate not to interfere with your July 4th weekend. Many people enjoying some time with family, friends, relatives, and so we just kind of laid back ourselves and enjoyed some southern hospitality and some potato salad, burgers, and some other goodies, and I hope that you had a great time as well. But we are back to business. We're broadcasting live once more, and we have really stacked up a lot of radio programs over these years. Not as many as I could have. I could have broadcasted every single day because I really love it, but just don't have that time to spare. But we do broadcast every week, and in fact we have 3 weekly radio shows, 4 now actually. Just started a new one, so I do stay pretty busy in the recording booth and behind the microphone recording our radio shows, but we do have plenty of other things to do as well. Today we have plenty of breaking news to bring you. Of course, we want to talk about the unfortunate situation that 6 security officers found themselves in just in the past week when they were arrested on some very serious charges, including murder. And I want to talk about a new service, not really new to us, but maybe new to some of you who might just have begun listening to the program. And it may be something that could be an opportunity for you, a business that you may be interested in. And I am very gung-ho and very open to helping anyone who wants to start a business, because I have been an entrepreneur for many, many dozens of years, and I feel like this is really the only true way to have not only success but freedom. And so we'll open that up in the next segment, tell you a little bit more about this opportunity, which I think you should not pass by. And I'll tell you also about the upcoming conferences, expos, and a whole bunch more as well. Remember, you can listen to our radio shows 24 hours a day. You can stream them on more than 36 platforms. You can also read our breaking news at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com. Join the conversation on social media at facebook.com/privateofficer.org and on twitter.com/privateofficer. Remember also that you can contact us 24 hours a day. Send us breaking news. Send us maybe somebody that you think should be nominated for an award, or send us your questions at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We are going to move right into our first break, but when I come back, I have a lot more to say and a lot more to share with you right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio, the voice, of course, of the Frontline Protector.
Can we be real for a minute? I'm a high school math teacher, and I'm a firefighter.
Man, we're going to have you out in just a minute, okay?
I'm a designer. I'm a retired VP in business.
And I'm a student.
I'm a mother.
I'm a business analyst, and I'm a volunteer firefighter.
You thought we just fought fire?
Firefighters get trained to do so many things.
Right here. Get sharp.
What we do is serious business.
Three-quarters of the nation's first responders are volunteers. That includes here in Connecticut. And lately, it's been harder than ever, with fewer citizens volunteering.
From teenage cadets like me
To seasoned veterans like me.
So what are you waiting for?
You ready to make a difference?
Ready to join our team?
Your community needs you. We need you. Visit everydayheroct.org or stop by your local firehouse today and take the first step of joining your fire department.
Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. Whether you're looking for the top quality protective armor or protective clothing, stab-resistant vest or gloves, contact my friend Ben over at Body Armor USA. Give him a call, 516 area code 817-1666. Again, that's area code 516 817-1666. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. No doubt about it. Welcome back to the Private Officer Beat Radio this week. Glad that you're joining us. Like I said, we do have a lot of people listening while we are broadcasting live, but we also have many people who listen streaming later on down the road, the same day, the same week, or sometimes they look back on some of the radio shows that were broadcasted months and even years ago. So we never know, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We have a lot of events coming up. We've been talking to you about the free Police Security Expo, the 37th annual, actually, Police Security Expo. It's happening, coming up, and it's going to be really soon. I mean, time just has a way of disappearing on you, really. But this expo is going to be in Tinsley Park, Illinois, and it's coming up next month, and it's free, totally. 8th and 9th of August, Tinsley Park. Go to their website and register right now. No charge for the training. There's going to be some vendors, some food from my understanding, and a whole lot more. You can also go to this great event from this organization called Private Officer International. It's going to be along the Gulf Coast of Alabama, the beautiful Gulf Coast. It's scheduled in September, 3 days, and it's going to be the 26th, 27th, and 28th, absolutely free. Lots of training courses, and you'll also have an opportunity to get certified in less lethal chemical sprays and taser. Don't miss that. Put that on your calendar, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a great event. We got a number of speakers that are coming. We have some training. Like I said, we have some less lethal training, and we have some surprises too. We'll kind of leave that out for now. Also happening, another conference that you may want to go to, and that's the International Association of Chiefs of Police. That's happening October the 14th through the 17th, and that is in San Diego, California. And that's not too far away either. That's going to be the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. And my understanding is this year they have really ramped it up. So you don't have to be a police chief to attend, but you do have to be either a security manager, law enforcement, or something along those lines. Also coming up, another great event. This is at the Walking Horse Casino Resort. This is in Arizona. This is for security that work at casinos, tribal hotels, and resorts. You can go to their website and register for that. I myself and a couple of colleagues will be there for that one, as well as at the Security Police Expo coming up. And we're even going to try and make the Police Chief Conference, if that's possible. Also coming up this year, September the 11th through the 13th, we've got the Global Security Exchange put on by As Is annual conference. There's always some good information and training there. This year it's being held at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center. That's in Dallas, Texas. Go to their website, gsx.org, and register today. And we're still working on some other regional training, as well as some round tables and some other online goodies as well. So we'll definitely be bringing that to you in the upcoming weeks. A lot of great opportunities if you want to take advantage. Right now, we just announced at Armor College the latest session, the 5th session of the Command Staff College. This is online, 20 weeks. I think that any supervisor, law enforcement, or private security would benefit from taking it. We have reduced the tuition so that it's just a little bit more than a couple $100. Any other location you would see this for thousands of dollars. For more information, you can go to Armor College or contact help desk at armorcollege.org. We are going to take another quick break. When I come back, I do want to talk about the excessive force arrest, the murder charges, the increase in private security being charged with these situations, and of course, it's the same old reasons why. But we do definitely need to do something about it because it's getting out of hand. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector on the Private Officer Beat Radio. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector right here on the Private Officer Radio Network. Now don't go away because we are coming right back when we've got a whole lot more right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio. Are you a recently retired or maybe active law enforcement officer looking for a different future, maybe owning your own business? Former military, public safety, private security professional, EMS, or the fire service, looking for a new way to make a difference while running and owning your own business. At Public Safety Services, we provide services to those who protect us around the world. I'm talking about the police, the sheriff's department, the military. Our organization provides community service officers, private law enforcement, prisoner transport, traffic investigators, and many other public safety service related services to law enforcement agencies across the nation. You can own your own business, be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. contact us at publicsafetyservices.org. Let's talk about how you can make a difference today while owning your own business.
Distracted driving is dangerous, but some people just can't seem to help themselves. There's the steering wheel propper, the sneak-a-peeker, the fast roller, the night-lighter. And it's not long until they become the fender-benderer, the got-a-ticketer, the veering off the road, the driver who kills someone. Enough with the phones already. Just put them down.
Welcome back to the Private Officer Beat Radio. We're working on a number of programs. As I stated last week, we have gotten back on schedule with some of our filming. We're working on a program right now called All Gave Some Gave All, about officers killed in the line of duty. And this week's topic that I'm going to be talking about at the bottom half of the program is called Service Above Self. And, you know, just in recent weeks, we have seen a number of private security and law enforcement who have really stepped out and risked their own life and given of themselves. I'm going to tell you a story about a lady correction officer who not only gave up her job to help a prisoner, but gave up her finances, her family security. She met a prisoner who had a newborn, and the state was going to take that child from the correction officer if they could not find a relative or someone responsible to take care of the child until that prisoner was released. And the prisoner approached the correction officer, and, well, we'll tell you more about that coming up here shortly. But service above self. Some police departments now have that on their patrol cars. It's a model. I think it's just a way to live, to be honest with you. And so that's going to be the topic coming up. I do want to address those 6 arrests in 6 days. 3 security officers charged with murder. 1 charged with attempted murder. 1 charged with aggravated assault. 1 charged with felony assault, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, while off duty but driving on the way to work in uniform. Several of these took place in the state of Texas, 1 in Florida. In one scenario, a security officer shot and killed someone who he said disrespected him. For no other reason, he killed a man because he thought he disrespected him. This is not the first time. This is not the first time that security has shot and killed, or at least shot and injured, a person they said disrespected them. There's not a whole lot that I can say about this other than, obviously that person has a problem, psychological, and should never have been employed in that position, and definitely should never have been armed. It's probably not something that's training based, because you can train someone for weeks, months, and years, but you can't change who they are inside. In another arrest, a security officer in New York City working at a pharmacy was charged with murder after stabbing a shoplifter to death. Now, the shoplifter is someone that had been known to the security officer, who they have had conversations and interactions that weren't positive in previous times. And this time around, the security officer stopped the man who was shoplifting, and they got into a brawl, some type of confrontation. The security officer pulled a knife and repeatedly stabbed the shoplifter until he was dead. Some say he was within his right, he was defending himself, but New York is not one of those states that have stand your ground. In this situation, from video and from police reports, it looks like excessive force. Again, I always, tell people this. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened exactly. I didn't see it, but I have seen video and I've read the incident report and news stories, and I can kind of get a picture in my mind from my own experience that I don't think this was the proper use of force. Another security officer has been arrested for attempted murder at a convenience store. This happened in Texas. The man was causing a disturbance inside the convenience store. He was told to leave several times. After a number of times, the security officer pulled his firearm and shot the man several times. Just this year so far, and we're only in the month of July, there have been dozens of security officers arrested for excessive force. A number of them charged with murder. Of course, that doesn't mean they're guilty, and it doesn't mean that they'll be found guilty in the court of law. But it does go to speak volumes about training, about the lack of oversight, about not being able to recruit the proper people. We're in a time when security is in high demand. Security companies are in business to make money, and therefore they're going to hire whoever they can, whoever fits the bill, provide the least amount of training, in my experience anyways, and not really provide a whole lot of supervision, management, or oversight, and then wonder why do these things continue to happen. 6 security officers, 3 charged with murder, 1 charged with attempted murder, 1 charged with aggravated assault, 1 charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, driving to work. This also happening in Texas. I don't know what that says about Texas. I know Texas has a lot of security officers like Florida and California and New York and other states. But this man was driving to work in uniform. He got into a little driving situation with another driver and decided to pull his firearm. The man was 71 years old, and he said he was just defending himself when the other driver was cutting him off, so on and so forth. But it was the security officer. They had video of him pointing the gun. They had video of him being an aggressive driver. So he's been charged with multiple charges and probably will lose his armed security license from the Texas Department of Public Safety. We continue to have to address these same situations, these same topics. On the other hand, our news report that was sent out in discussing these arrests also highlighted 2 security officers this week, one in Washington, D.C., who saw a carjacking from his property. It didn't occur on his property, but it was in the street. And he ran and he pulled his firearm and he held this armed suspect at gunpoint on the ground until D.C. Metro Police could arrive and take him into custody. Yes, he's a hero. He used the firearm properly. He used the right amount of force. He could have justified shooting the man. He was armed. He was in the process of committing not only a felony, but a federal felony of carjacking. He could have said, the guy was armed, committing a serious offense. I felt threatened, and he was threatening the driver of the vehicle, so bam, bam, bam. But he didn't. He did exactly what he was trained to do, and in D.C., most armed security personnel are also special police officers sworn in by the District of Columbia Police, so he probably had a little bit more training than the average security officer. Another security officer we highlighted from Las Vegas was in a high-rise tower apartment/condo building when a man coming down the stairs with an AR-15 platform rifle began shooting. And the security officer waited, pulled his firearm, got behind some cover, the gun jammed, and the security officer opened fire and subdued the man. Again, he stopped an active shooter. He used the amount of force necessary, nothing more, nothing less, and so he too is a hero. And he was presented an award on July 4th by a local organization. We too will be contacting him. We've had trouble locating his contact information, but we will continue. Security officers across the country, no doubt, are heroes. They often stop robberies, burglaries, carjackings, thefts, so on and so forth. But overall, as more security officers are going armed, as more security officers are being put in places where police normally work, as security officers are being asked to do more in situations where they just never have had experience or exposure, we need to up their game in training, supervision, oversight, and give them the tools they need. We need to take another break, but when we come back, we got a lot of breaking news, and I'll be talking about service above self. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
Spice, or Mojo, or just Joe. It's the new most popular drug. It looks harmless and sounds fun, but it's not. Spice is made in filthy conditions. There is no recipe. It's made with anything that can soak up chemicals. It's treated with roach spray or rat poison. It's illegal because it's poisonous. Our hospitals are flooded with its victims. It can cause a lethal medical emergency such as seizures, convulsions, violence toward others, psychosis, and even sudden death. Don't be fooled. Spice kills.
Are you looking for the finest private security officer training in the Charlotte metropolitan area? Do you need PPS qualifications in armed or unarmed training? Or maybe you're over there across the line in South Carolina and you need the SLED training. Well, we've got the right training at the right time for you. Premier Training Academy, located at 5624 Executive Center Drive, Suite 142 in metropolitan Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today, 704-806-4933. They also offer firearms training, personal protection, first aid and CPR, and so much more. Call John at 704-806-4933. In our breaking news this week, a longtime Marion County, Indiana deputy sheriff was killed during an escape from jail. Marion County Deputy John Durham, who had been a deputy there for more than 38 years, was attacked inside a sally port by a prisoner attempting to escape. The prisoner was able to take the vehicle and later crashed into a telephone pole where he was apprehended. The sheriff was transported to an area hospital where he died. The suspect is in custody. Police are investigating a man in Memphis, Tennessee, who impersonating a security guard and then stole more than $10,000. According to authorities, officers responded to the fraud complaint at the Lenox Park Boulevard address. Authorities said the man was impersonating an employee of Allied Universal Security. The suspect met with employees and exchanged invalid gas cards with valid gas cards. It was a scheme. Although authorities don't have all the details, they do have a picture of the suspect, which we have broadcasted across our social media. Las Vegas police officer stands accused of stealing more than $165,000 from 3 casinos. According to authorities and prosecutors, Caleb Rogers had a gambling addiction, and according to law enforcement, last year he robbed several casinos before being caught. He is on trial for those 3 robberies and has since been fired. In New York City, authorities want to hire private security instead of NYPD officers to house a number of migrant centers. According to the police department, they are understaffed and unable to meet the demands. Taxpayer dollars would be used to hire private security companies to oversee more than 50,000 migrants in the city's care. However, the NYPD is cautioning this move, saying that these areas have been violent. There are frequent attacks, fights, and it may not be something that private security can handle. In Evansville, Indiana, a man is under arrest. 20-year-old Alexander Morrell was arrested after threatening a security officer with a weapon. This happened on Sunday morning. In Prince George County, Maryland, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C., authorities there are talking about putting in a new law. This law would require all apartment complexes to have surveillance cameras, a closed-circuit TV system, and to record and maintain video of their property. They say this is in response to a substantial increase in violent crime. Although it's not required currently, many apartment complexes do have some security patrols or security officers on site. An Alabama security officer was shot over the weekend. This was at a auto auction in Hueytown, Alabama, just outside of Birmingham. Police investigating now say this may have been a targeted shooting. If you have information, call Crime Stoppers, 205-254-7777. The security officer is listed in good condition. 3 Georgia teens have been charged with murder after a plot to egg a home goes wrong. The teenagers began throwing eggs at a house in an ongoing lovers' quarrel. That's when the man inside came out and confronted 3 teenagers, who then pulled a gun and shot Jonathan Gilbert. The 3 teenagers, Sydney Morum, 18, Jeremy Munson, 19, and Mackenzie Davenport, 19, all charged with murder now in this case. A man has been accused of assaulting a security officer after throwing rocks at him in Waco, Texas. Charles Henry Isaac, 66, has been charged with third-degree felony assault on a security officer in Texas. It is a felony to assault a security officer, the same as police. TSA said that they're on pace to seize a record number of guns. Even with all of the information that's put out, currently more than 3,300 guns have been confiscated this year. 92% of them were loaded. If that trend continues, TSA says it will exceed the 6,600 guns confiscated last year. Only 10 years ago, the TSA stopped just over 1,900 guns. TSA says you can be fined $1,500 and arrested if you are caught trying to board with a gun. A woman in Westerly, Rhode Island, has been arrested for trespassing on Taylor Swift's Rhode Island home. Her security staff apprehended a 54-year-old woman. Westerly Police Chief said that several people have been arrested this year trespassing on that property. A Vermont police officer very tragically was killed, just 19 years old, in Rutland, Virginia. The Vermont 19-year-old police officer was hit head-on by a burglary suspect in a police chase. Rutland City Police Officer Jessica Ebbinghosen, 19, was killed on Friday afternoon during that police chase. Her parents said that she had wanted to be a police officer since she was 9 years old. She is the youngest police officer killed in the state of Vermont. The suspect has been arrested and is in custody. A man in San Antonio, Texas, barricaded himself inside a Toyota plant guard station. Police said SWAT was called in after the armed man went inside a guard plant's shack at the entrance to the complex and demanded that the security officer leave, and then he took over the shack. Police surrounded the facility and after several hours was able to take him into custody. A loss prevention agent for King Soopers Grocery, that's a division of Kroger stores, was fired after he filmed a shoplifter who was taking a large quantity of products from the store to his vehicle. He said that he was told he couldn't go hands-on with the shoplifter, so he decided to take his phone out and film the theft. He thought that was the right thing to do. But after review, Kroger's the parent company said it was not, and they fired him. He is now appealing. Jacksonville, Florida, a on-duty police officer shot and killed himself. This happened on Friday. His name has not been released. Authorities went searching for him when he did not respond to radio calls. They found him dead from a self-inflicted gunshot. Police responding to security call at the Marley Station Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland. The mall was closed at the time. They said a burglary was in progress. They surrounded the mall. After some time, they were able to take 4 juveniles into custody. In Atlanta, Georgia, a on-duty security officer has been charged with identity theft, bank fraud, and possession of stolen property after she stole a credit card that she found at her place of work. She then left work and went directly to charging that credit card at several stores. Alerts to the owner of that card sent police to a store where the 29-year-old was using the card at the time. All of this, of course, caught on video. Kansas City, Missouri police have charged a man with murder of a security officer. Tracy Taylor never lost hope that an arrest would be made in the May 21st deadly shooting of his friend. This was a shooting at a nightclub. According to authorities, the suspect fled after a confrontation and a shooting. Police now have that suspect in custody. 3 Florida TSA officers charged with stealing from passengers. It was a scheme. After several complaints, authorities set up surveillance on these 3 TSA employees at the Miami airport, and they saw the team as they distracted passengers while they stole from their wallets and purses. Jose Gonzalez, 20, Elizabeth Buster, 22, and Liberius Williams, 33, all have been charged with organized scheme to defraud, possession of stolen property, and they face other charges as well. A family of a Boise Mall shooting victim has sued the mall, the security company, and police over the killing. This happened in 2021 at the Boise Town Square Mall, where a security officer was murdered as well as a customer. This shooting has already gotten the attention of OSHA, who found that the mall and the security company was partially to blame and fined them more than $100,000. The Austin police released a statement last week to citizens of Austin, Texas, saying that police cannot respond to your call in a timely fashion. The memo, directly from the police chief, says decreases in response time, even for emergency calls, are down. Because they are understaffed, the response time listed at 8 minutes and 17 seconds, that was a decrease from 6 minutes and 7 seconds, and the police chief says it may increase even further. 6 security guards arrested for excessive force in 1 week, 3 charged with murder, 1 charged with aggravated assault, 1 charged with brandishing a weapon, and it goes on and on. We released a statement this past week and sent out a news alert. We know that more security officers are being armed, and they are interacting with more people who are causing disturbances and committing property crimes. However, we continue to see a lack of training, supervision, and a lack of quality hiring. This will probably only go up. One of those charged was a man who was working as a security officer in a CVS store in New York City. He confronted a shoplifter who he had other interactions with. They got into a confrontation, and security guard Scotty Eno pulled a knife and stabbed the man to death. While he claims self-defense, police say that this was excessive. He's charged with 1 count of murder. Today, I'm going to be talking about service above self, and one of these examples that has come to my attention last week is a correction officer who gave up her job, and we'll be talking about that. Wallingford, Connecticut has shifted from armed school police to armed security officers. The city police chief and the school board met recently, and the police chief said that they can no longer supply manpower to the schools. They will have a few school resource officers on duty, but they are hiring contract security to man the armed schools. A suspect has been arrested in Independence, Louisiana, after a security officer on duty at the parish landfill was beaten, disarmed, robbed. The burglary suspect also broke into several cars and buildings on the property. Now police say they've taken Derek Self, 45, into custody and charged him with robbery, kidnapping, aggravated kidnapping, false imprisonment, armed robbery, business burglary, 2 counts of vehicle burglary, felony possession of property, 3 counts of being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. He's currently locked up without a bond. When you see news happening, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. And in the final story, a security officer jumps into action evacuating tenants from a burning apartment complex. This happened last week in Memphis, Tennessee. Fireworks ended up setting one of the apartment buildings on fire. On July 4th, a security officer on duty saw the flames. He notified 911 and jumped into action, pounding on doors and evacuating, even walking some of the residents down the smoky stairs. The fire chief says he is a hero. We're trying to identify him so that we can recognize him. We're going to come right back after this short break. I'm talking about service above self today. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
I was just going to the grocery store.
Seatbelt violators, beware.
I forgot to put it on.
If you're pulled over because you've broken the law.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
And you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's broken, but I was going to have it fixed.
No matter what your excuses, you will get a ticket in addition to the ticket for your original violation.
Click it or ticket? That's pretty easy to remember.
Rotarians International is an organization that has been around for many, many years. The Rotarians' motto is service above self. This group believes in helping neighbors, and if you've ever gone to any of their meetings, and I have, you'll find that they're always looking for ways to help their community. It's quite the organization. The motto, service above self, is also proudly displayed on a number of law enforcement and fire service apparatus in a number of our communities across the country. In the day that we're living in, where so many people are more worried about what they can do for themselves. Everyone in a hurry, no one having time for anyone else. And while things look bad sometimes, they're not as bad as you may think. Firefighters, police officers, and civilians alike across the country, those working in the medical community, and many other fields, including, believe it or not, your local mechanic. when I found out recently, really did provide service above all else. Yeah, it still exists. It may not exist the way that it did back in the 50s or 60s. Customer service as we know today has diminished, but there are many people who still believe in putting service above themselves. Just recently, a news story came out, and when I read this news story, it touched me, and I had to read it several times. Correction Officer Roberta Bell was working at the Louisiana Transitional Center for Women in Toloa, Louisiana. One of the ladies there in the correctional facility that was incarcerated had just had a baby. And according to a news article, the inmate, Katie Burgess, was going to have her child taken away by the state if she didn't find a caregiver for the child, if she didn't find a family member or a friend who would take the child until she could be released. And things got pretty scary for the new mom because she didn't have any family nearby nor friends that were able to take the child. And so, in a last-ditch effort, she asked the only other person that she knew, that she had been communicating with, that she had daily interactions with, and that was Corrections Officer Bell. Roberta Bell could have said, and probably in some ways should have said, I can't do it. It's against the rules. It just wouldn't be right. It's a conflict of interest. And besides, I've got my own family to take care of. But she didn't say that. She agreed to raise the child of the inmate until that inmate was released. That caring woman was fired from her job as a correction officer, a state employee. She was making a living wage. She had state benefits. She could have stayed with the correctional system and retired, but she decided to put all that aside and take care of this child who needed someone to take care of. Miss Bell, after the corrections system found out about it, was fired from her correctional officer position. Now, she had no job. She still had to take care of her family. She had to find a way to pay her bills, and she had to find a way to make it all work. But she did just that, service above self. I myself, I don't know if I could have done that. And many others who have read the story and commented also frankly said they wouldn't have done this. They couldn't have. It just wouldn't work. But Belle, she saw something different. She saw a woman who had made some mistakes and who was paying for those mistakes. And why make things worse for her? Since her firing, she did raise the child for a number of months and took care of that child like it was her own. Last week, Katie Burgess was released from prison, and she was overjoyed when greeted by the former correction officer with a special surprise in her vehicle. For the first time since she gave birth in May, Katie was reunited with her son Kason and fell to pieces, as I could only imagine. She had no words to express the gratitude that she had for former correction officer Bell, and the two have bonded, as you would imagine. And I could go on with the story and tell you more about the trials and tribulations of raising a child that's not your own without any financial resources while struggling to meet your own financial needs. But to this former correction officer, she continues to say it was all worth it. Roberta Bell is a hero. She's unlike many people, and I don't know, it just service above self. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to the philosophy of helping our neighbor. When I read the news alert about the 19-year-old Rutland, Vermont police officer killed, intentionally hit head-on by a burglary suspect during a pursuit, it was heartbreaking. Rutland City police officer Jessica Ebbinghusen was a part-time officer who had dreamed of being a police officer since she was 9 years old. She did everything right. She took courses. She set herself up for success. She was scheduled to go to the police academy in just another month or so, and she would be promoted to a full-time officer. But that will never happen. 2 other police officers were injured in this police chase, but they're going to survive. They'll be fine. According to the state police, this was a violent act against the officer. She believed in service above self. She could have said, well, I'm just 19. I can't do anything. I can't make any change. I'm just too young. I'll wait till I'm 25. I'll wait till I'm 21. I'll do something else. I'll come back to this. But she didn't. Her police chief said that she was very active. She wanted to help her community. She was adamant about helping her community. There was only one path for her. And across our country, we see this in our police officers, our firefighters, many of our security officers, wanting to make a difference, putting service above self. One of the things that we really need to drive home to our employees and even to our customers is that we're here to provide a service. I believe we're all here to provide a service to help others. It doesn't have to be laying your life on the line. It could be some other small gesture, some other small assistance. We need to slow down and we need to realize our purpose, the reason why we are all here. A security officer, we talked about this earlier, in Las Vegas. He happened to be working at a high-rise apartment complex when a gunman with an AR-15 platform-type rifle began shooting up the lobby Luckily, the security officer was armed, and he knew what to do. He was able to shoot the suspect and stop any other threat. He's a hero. He put service above self. He could have went and hid. He could have ran out of the building. He could have made himself safe, secured himself. But he addressed the threat and put his life on the line. Service above self. I have seen several police departments with that motto on their vehicle, and fire departments and other frontline responders. I've seen it on patches. It's one thing to say we will, we do. It's another to walk the walk and talk the talk every single day, especially when that crisis, that emergency, that threat presents itself. Service above self. We all need to take a step back into a time when people really did care about others, no matter who they were, what they looked like, where they were from. We can be empathetic, sympathetic. We may not be able to take on the big, huge taking care of a child that we don't know. We may not be able to give of our life for somebody else. No greater love hath any man. But not everyone's willing to do that. Do something to make a difference. Help your neighbor. Help a stranger. Just recently, a man at the local hospital here posted a story about how he helped a World War II veteran in just a small way. The man was walking at a hospital with his wife, and another patient saw that he was not walking very well and having a hard time making it to the parking lot, to the car, and so this person went and got a wheelchair from the lobby and came out and assisted the man and the wife to their vehicle and helped them. It could have been or should have been a nurse or another medical professional. It should have been somebody from the hospital, the facility where these patients were at, but no one did. And so this stranger did just that small thing. He went and got a wheelchair. He helped the two to the vehicle. He made a difference. Every day, we should try to make a difference in some small way. Service above self. Service above self. That's going to conclude this episode of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Thanks for listening to us. Remember, you can follow us on social media at Private Officer International, at Facebook.com, Private Officer International, or at Twitter.com/Private Officer. Read our news 24/7 at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com. Contact us 24/7 at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Until the next time, y'all be blessed. Remember, service above self.